Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video I will be creating one of my faceted bead art letter squares. I will be using the diamond weave to create the square. To learn more about the diamond weave, please visit these websites. To begin with the diamond weave, you want to start at the top left of your pattern, and you'll add your first set of beads in this order. So we need 4 background colors. To open. There we go. Them drop down. I use tape for my bead stopper. Then you find the first 2 beads that you threaded on, and you'll thread through them in the same direction as your first threading. And there you have on your first set of beads. You add the next set in the same order. So we need 3 background. And a design. Let them come down. Then you find the first 2 you threaded on and go through them in the same direction. There you have your first 2 sets of beads. And then you add your next set. We need all background. Let them come down. Find the first 2. Thread through them in the same direction as the first threading. There you have your row. Then we add the last 4 for this row. All be background color. Now for the fishing line, I find it best to go through all 4 beads of the last set. Then once you have them in circle, you want to go through the top 2 again. And that gives you your first row. Now I'm going to go through this side bead, so my string is coming down towards where I'm going to add my second row. And there you have your your last circle, and your string is coming out the bottom of it. Now we're going to add the next row. We're going to add each set in this order. So we need 4 background color. Let them come down. And now this time what you want to do is you want to see where your string is coming out, and you want to go through the next 2 bottom beads of your previous row. And don't worry about if the beads are twisted. You can take care of that in another step. Add the next set of beads. Add 4 background color. Then again, we find the bottom of our previous row, see where our string is coming out, and we go through the next 2 bottom beads. Then we add our next set of beads. Two background color and 2 design color. Then we find the bottom of our previous row, and we go through the next 2 beads on the bottom. And now we're going to do the last set of beads. We add them in the same order. Before background. Let them drop down. This time we find the first of the 4 beads we just added, and we thread through it in the same direction as the first threading. Then we go to our previous set of beads, untwist as needed, and we're going to go through the top 2 of the 4, and the first one we're going to go towards our previous row, and the second one we are going to go away from our previous row. And that makes them lay out the way you want them to. Now we will untwist the next set. Still working with the top 2 of the set, and we're going to bead towards the thread towards the previous row. And then away from the previous row. And then we find the last set. We do the same, top 2 beads. We do the first one going towards the previous row, and the second one going away from the previous row. And that gives us our first 2 rows of beads. And then we go through that side bead so that our string is coming down towards where we're going to add our next row. And we add it in the same manner. So we need 4 background color. Come to the bottom, go through the next 2 bottom beads of our previous row. Then we add the next 4. go through the next 2 beads on the bottom of your previous row. Now I need 2 background and 2 design. Then we go through the next 2 beads on the bottom of our previous row. And then we add the last 4 beads. Then we find that first bead again, and we thread through it, going in the same direction as the first threading. Then we go to our previous set of beads, untwist as needed, and working with the top 2 beads, we go through the first one towards our previous row, and the second one away from our previous row. Then we go to the next set, go towards the previous row, and then away. And our last set, go towards, and then away. And there we've added our 3rd row of beads. Now we go through that side bead, so we're going down towards where our next row will be added. And we add it the same way. So we need 4 background colors. Go through the bottom 2 beads of our previous row. Then add our next 4. So we need a design, 2 background, and a design. Then we go through the next 2 beads on the bottom of our previous row. Add our next set of beads. And go through the next 2 beads on the bottom of the previous row. And now we're going to add the last 4 beads for this piece. They'll be all background color. Find that first bead again. Go through it in the same direction as the first threading. Then untwist the previous set, go towards the previous row, and then away. Then untwist, go towards, and then away. last one. And with the way that this stitch is done, the top and the one side, all the beads are snug together, but along the bottom and the other side, the beads are not, so it is recommend that you go through your side bead to the bottom of your piece, and then just thread along the bottom, weaving back and forth through the beads. And then up along the side. And for a small piece like this, another advantage is it brings both of your strings together, so that allows you to be able to tie a knot, which with most one needle stitches, your strings don't come together, so you're not able to use a knot. Now I'll slip off my tape, and then I like to do a single knot followed by a double overhand, and then I don't pull tight, I just bring it down, and then I slip it inside. I think oh, there it is. Okay, I slip it inside this top corner bead, and once I've got it inside the bead, then I pull tight so that my knot is inside the bead. And then I like to thread away from the knot for a few beads so that over time the knot doesn't come undone due to the string being right there when you cut it. And then once I've threaded away by a few beads, I then trim off the excess. And there we have our letter square. I hope you enjoyed.